Powerful hip extension in your kettlebell swing. This is what is going to happen after you hike the bell or after you are done with your back swing when you are doing consecutive reps of a kettlebell swing. So essentially you're here and now we need to get the bell to come up. In a kettlebell swing, we are producing horizontal force of the bell. In a kettlebell clean, you are producing vertical force of the bell. So you can see how this is different. In that clean, we wanted the bell to come straight up. In a kettlebell swing, we want the bell to come out, okay? Same thing between the clean and the swing is the ending position. Not the ending position of the hands, but the ending position of the pelvis and the rib cage, okay? Even though the kettlebell swing is coming horizontally, I don't want to see your hips come like this with the kettlebell. In the top of this hip extension, you need to be in a stacked position, okay? I want you to be here with your pelvis underneath your rib cage, standing straight up. You don't need to do this. It's not going to help your swing. A lot of people think if they really kind of like ugly squeeze the butt and shove the hips forward, it's going to make the swing more powerful. And that's just not the case. You should have already been able to create power before you get to the knee to do that. The other thing that we don't want to do is kind of grip down from the top. A lot of people, that will happen when you see people kind of trying to pull the bell up and they haven't got that prerequisite power in the hip extension. So they're literally trying to like pull the bell up. So the bell should feel weightless. Yes, you have a ball of cast iron in your hands. I understand that. But what I don't want you to feel like is that you are trying to get the bell up with your upper body. There will be a float phase of the bell. And what I mean by float phase is there will be a phase just like you have felt in the cleans where the bell is literally being projected by the force you created with your hips. Now, that powerful hip extension needs to be really freaking powerful, okay? I want you to think about getting your hips from back to front as quickly as you can. Sometimes this literally takes a while for your nervous system to develop those capabilities, especially if it's something that you haven't really worked on in the past. Now, I know that I always tell you guys, don't shove your hips forward, don't overly squeeze your glutes. Here's the thing. You need to squeeze your glutes in a kettlebell swing. You do not need to squeeze your glutes to the point that they shove your pelvis forward of your rib cage. But you need to squeeze your glutes and get to the top of hip extension. I don't want you to lock out your knees before you squeeze your glutes. I don't care if your legs are straight in the top of the hip extension so long as you got your glutes to get you there first. We don't want to see that. So here, I'm locking out my knees before my hips, and you see how in the top I end up with my hips really kind of shoved forward. That's the reason why I always tell you guys hip extension before knee extension. Okay, so make sure to check in with yourself on that. One of my favorite things to do before I will do kettlebell swings in my own workout is to literally just practice that powerful hip extension. So I'm here, and what I want to think about is getting my hips from back to front as quickly as possible. So in the top, I want to be able to reach back and feel my glutes are on. Okay, they haven't shoved my pelvis forward, but my glutes are on. And it should feel like at the top of the swing, you have to put on the brakes, okay? So I don't want it to feel like you're just kind of like able to slowly coast into the top. No slow coasting here, okay? This is 0 to 60 in like 1.2 or I don't know, but super, super fast. So in the top, you need to feel like you put on the brakes because you're going so fast. Your brakes get put on at the second you're in full hip extension with your pelvis underneath your rib cage. To practice that really, really powerful hip extension, you're going to get into the end of your hike, and you do not need to use a bell for this, okay? Your wrists are going to be in your crotch. Your wrists should not be at your knees. Your wrists should not be down here at your shins. Please note, wrist in the crotch, okay? So you're going to be here, and then what I want you to do is literally think 1, 2, 3, go. On that go, I want you to try to get your hips to the breaking point before the O syllable comes out your mouth. May or may not happen, but that's one of the things that I like to think about in my own cueing when I'm doing this for myself, and I have found that it really helps me because it helps me understand just how fast this needs to be. So you're gonna reach back here, and then 1, 2, 3, go. All right, so you need to have to put on the brakes in the top. That is the main takeaway from this powerful hip extension. As you're here, you don't need to bend your arms and bring the bell back. You also don't have to keep your arms locked out, okay? So just kind of a natural bend in your elbows is fine. There are lots of different variations where we bend the arms a little bit more than others, but for now we're just gonna keep it really simple, and I just want you to keep a really natural bend in the elbow, whatever feels comfortable for you, and you need to think about that 1, 2, 3, go, and putting on the brakes. So make sure you try the 1, 2, 3, go drill. At least I would say give it 6 to 8 reps after you do the hike, and that way you're going to start putting all the pieces together one by one.